The Border Mangement Authority has arrested 350 Mozambican nationals who were in the country illegally. The arrests took place at the Lebombo Border Post in Mpumalanga. The arrested Mozambicans have been blacklisted from South Africa for the next 5 years. Over 26,000 Mozambican nationals have been processed and cleared into Mozambique by the Border Mangement Authority. Here's SABC News reporter Nhlamulo Mabasa, who joins us now for an update. So Nhlamulo, what's the situation like on the ground today at that border post?
Good morning and good morning to our viewers. We are in Lebombo Port of Entry. It's quite a busy morning for those who are driving their private vehicles crossing into Mozambique. But on the truck side, everything seems to be very slow. When we were talking to the commissioner a bit earlier, he did say that some trucks were turned back as the situation is volatile in Mozambique. But for more in this situation, we will welcome the commissioner, Michael Masiapato, just to tell us more as to what is happening in Mozambique. Good morning and welcome to the agenda. Please brief us as to what happened from yesterday when they announced to this morning.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Nhlamulo. Maybe let's start by indicating that during the course of yesterday, we continued doing the work in terms of the processing of people out of South Africa, but also into South Africa. So on that basis, we processed around 10,000 people. That out of that, 8,000 were leaving South Africa, and around 2,000 were coming into South Africa. So our work still continued, but of course, in terms of the trucks, during the course of yesterday, we had kind of slowed down, in terms of the movement of mineral trucks in particular, primarily because we were anticipating the outcome of the Constitutional Council in terms of the elections in Mozambique, as it were. So that particular situation had unfolded during the course of yesterday afternoon, and since then there has been very serious protests on that particular side, and we are very much informed that the corridor on the Mozambican side is very much unstable and therefore not safe, particularly for the trucks, as it were. So that is why since yesterday we had halted the processing of the trucks. However, earlier in the morning we processed around 100 or so of the trucks that went into Mozambique. The majority of the trucks, we processed them from Thursday last week. Thursday, Friday and Saturday, we processed a lot of trucks, over 1,000 over those particular individual days, as it were. And in terms of the people we picked on Sunday, at around 26,000 people that we've actually processed into Mozambique, as it were. That is why today there is fairly quietness here in the port in terms of both people as well as truck movement.
So with the information that you have, because we do see private vehicles crossing over, those who are using their private vehicles also with public transport, it's only trucks that are not able to cross because of the reasons that you cited. How many, in terms of vehicles, how many are crossing? How many have you registered for today in terms of numbers?
Yeah, so you see, since this morning, like I said, remember the port operates on a 24-hour basis. So on that basis, we've been processing. So the number that I've just given, around 10,000 people, it is through overnight until this morning. So as we speak now, people are still continuing to be crossing and continuing to be processed. So what we can indicate is that there is not much of a threat for the Mozambicans as they exit South Africa going into Mozambique. What we are informed by our colleagues here at the port is that the protesters don't have much of a problem with their own people as they arrive into their country. But the biggest target is fairly the trucks, as it were, and that is why we had to then protect the trucks as well as the drivers. But in terms of the Mozambicans going back home, we continue to process them. We can only stop processing people if the Mozambicans advise us otherwise, on the basis that their own processing area is being threatened by the protesters. But since they started with the protest yesterday, there's no any indication that there is going to be a stoppage in as far as that is concerned. That is why we are continuing to process them. However, what can possibly happen is, if the protest at that side becomes under siege based on the activities that side, they are likely to then come through under the context of refugees. That is what we are currently putting together a plan to make sure that we are able to convene the rest of the stakeholders to deal with that eventuality should we reach that stage.
And with those that, because as we were driving here, we could see certain trucks that are still queuing there. I understand that you did say that there are trucks that you turned back, and there are those ones that are still here. These ones you did say, the ones that are here on the corridor, are the ones that were already processed. So what does that mean? If they are already processed, being here, for how many days will they be here? Are you not going to talk to them? Maybe also, are you in talks with Trucks Association to talk to all truckers just for now so that they stay their way.
Yeah, remember, as we do this work, we always engage our stakeholders all the time. So when you see some trucks going back, meaning getting out of the corridor, going back, it is not necessarily an instruction. We don't give the truck owners instructions and say, no, let your trucks go. We give them the facts in terms of the situation and they take decisions. So that is why some of the trucks decided that given the situation, they will recall their drivers and recall their trucks. However, others are saying, no, we will still stay on the corridor until the situation stabilizes, then we'll be able to cross. However, we cannot give a determination as to at what point will that stability come. We are fairly guided by the Mozambicans. Once they guide us, we will definitely be able to process, as it were. But for now, as we speak, we are told very clearly that the corridor is not safe. As for those that we describe them as processed, we mean those that are sitting inside the port that has already entered the gate and they're sitting in between. They've been processed to enter and they're supposed to be processed to exit, and they're caught in between. However, even those ones, if the owners want them recalled, we will be able to get our colleagues from SARS to unprocess them. It is not an impossibility. But the trucks that you see on the corridor and you also see inside here, it is the decision of the truck owners to say, we will keep them here until we are able to get them through. Others are recalling theirs. Either way, but we don't actually encourage anybody to start bringing trucks here as we speak. That we don't discourage, because we cannot determine as to how long will the situation be like it is in Mozambique, as it were.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. There you have it, Nkolisi. I'll just ask my colleague I'll try to move a bit out of shot so that you see what is currently happening at the port of entry. As you see with the private vehicles that are trying to cross, with a few hours to Christmas, those are still trying to get home. Those who are still at work and trying to cross the border. Even though there's still threats, the situation is still volatile in Mozambique, as you could hear from the Commissioner what it is that they are still stressing about.